CCTV. Ka East West Group of Institution Bangalore, ka khot admission nagamta ka nursing but paramedical course, ka bala ithu da ka Indian Nursing Council, ka buy admission ka badunatam, but she's pa percent ka jinyokam. Pila ru ban apply da ka education loan.
Ringkat lang bat ka Pathai barokoi, ka Shillong Press Club ha ka khandai tarik unjamang arja punriok, ka laraki ya ka World Press Freedom Day, ha ka jelang ka balalong ha Shillong Club Shillong. Ha kani ka jingraki balay simbantalang dagi officer bat ki Nongthoh ka Directorate of Information and Public Relation ki Nongthoh Khubor ki badai ki dikhot jong ka Shillong Press Club bat ki dikhot jong ka Meghalaya Editor and Publishers Association. Ha ka Jingkitkhlieh halor ka Pokso Act ki nonga jingkran kilong ka chairperson jong ka the Meghalaya State Commission for Protection of Child Rights ka kong NG Shala ka badai ka Muktiar bat ka DSP Crime ka East Khasi Hills District u Bipul Das bat kiway.
Mainly when you have covered it in your opening remarks itself about the challenges of reporting, because when it comes to POXO cases, all of us know it is extremely sensitive. We are dealing with children who, first of all, are not able to sometimes even understand what they have been through. So to handle children and the news regarding children, I think one has to keep the sensitivity at the forefront. We can't just talk about it as a breaking news or something where you're competing with other news channels to be able to be reporting something first. So I think, in fact, like if you look at it, there is a section 23 in the POXO Act itself, which tells you as a media what you're supposed to do. It is categorically written that when you're reporting, the identity of the child must not be declared. And often, even in Meghalaya, we have seen some cases where the media sometimes has made some mistakes, perhaps, and fallen into trouble because they have sort of not abided by this particular section. So I would just say that in a situation like this, we have to be sensitive, and we have to ensure that we are not running for a breaking news, sort of a situation, but dealing with it in a more humanitarian manner. So I think that is something that is not just that applies to the media, but it applies to every sector that is perhaps going to be dealing with POXO cases. Like for instance, we have the police. Sometimes investigations takes place. What happens is children are asked traumatizing questions again and again. So sensitivity has to be there, not just for the media, but even the police sometimes has to ensure that they manage a child and understand the psychology of a child before taking on the case. So
the report obviously will have to be made first to an adult, that is by the survivor, because it's not easy for a child to come out in the open, because more often than not, the child is always disbelieved. Many in our society will say, maybe you are mistaken, and that is the first thing that makes children think twice before coming forward. It's only when the adult believes the child that then the complaint is either made before the concerned authorities, that is the police, or it is settled. There are many instances where the matters are settled whereby such offences are not reported. Number one, and the reason till date even for women survivors, not just child survivors, stigma. Stigma in society. And that's why if it does not go to the police station, obviously it will not be known to the media also. Because the media cannot make a report or not make a report on the basis of rumors. It has to be ascertained that such a thing had happened. Because under the POXO Act, there is punishment for false information also. We cannot say that, it came out on social media. Now, social media is no longer limited to just journalists. All of us are actually tech savvy today, and we make our own reels. In fact, some individuals have started their own news reporting channels, YouTube channels, not your, national or state-rated channels. So, with regard to that, we have to be very careful. We cannot rely on rumor. That is the first important rule that a journalist must remember. Do not rely on rumor, because you will be taken to task, number one. Number two, the media house you're reporting for will also be taken to task. You're not, as a journalist, you might be freelancing, but you are also freelancing for some of the media houses, right? So they'll also be taken to task. We've had many cases in the High Court whereby certain news houses and journalists have also been dragged. Why? Because of publishing of names in the media, either through written or in the videos.
Actually, POCSO Act cases are very challenging cases because the crimes which are committed, it is basically within the books. There is no witness to prove the case. So basically, we have to focus on the statement of the victim and mother or whosoever the information was passed to. So basically, we have to rely on the statement of the witnesses. If there is if there is prompt in reporting such cases, then we have to go for medical reports, medical tests and all these things. And if it is positive, well and good. But most of the cases actually it is reported after 1 week, 10 days, 15 days, something like that. So those cases again like it is a hindrance. And at the end of the day, cases goes on acquittal. Okay. And basically in POCSO cases, there are nothing much to be done if everything is okay. Basically in investigation we have to focus on only three things. That is statement of your complainant and witnesses, medical report, and if permits, your DNA or other report, FSL reports. So apart from POCSO cases, I would like to say these days you people media people are very active in reporting and all these things. But one thing you should remember, if the accused was not arrested till that point of time, they are also watching. They are watching your reports and they are chalking out their plans. They are checking out their plans how to defend ourselves. So perhaps whenever you publish any news, any media items, so you should be very cautious. There should be checks and balance for publishing news item, actually in POCSO cases. Okay. So for example, although it is not related to POCSO, last year there was a sensational case, Raja Raghuvansh's mother case. So till that time, on 23rd they went missing. So from the 23rd of May, media trial has started. Where is Sonam, where is this thing like that, all these things were there. But we as an investigator, we have investigated that case. During investigation, we managed to check the mobile phone of the accused. And I found each and every detail in their mobile phone. Each and every clips. Each and every clips in the sense all the media, whatever was published, they were sharing. So my contention is that, my question is that, whatever you publish, there should be a check and balance. Okay?
In the sense, but I know that I don't want to talk about them, but there are some recently in the past some news agencies in Meghalaya who have been summoned for revealing the name of the survivor or the victim. So there are instances where things like that happen. So I guess, going back to the previous questions as well, it is very important for journalists to become well informed. If we have taken up such a big responsibility and a person's life depends on it, a person's reputation depends on it, it's very important for the media to be responsible. Like how Spider-Man would say, with great power comes great responsibility. So the power of the pen, as we all know, is way more, it has so much more weight than many other tools that we have. So when we have the ability to write something or report something or share somebody's story, we have to keep the child in mind, and we have to ensure that this is being done for the benefit of the public at large. Not to in any way disclose the child history or the child's details or whereabouts. But the purpose of why media should be reporting such cases is to just generate more information, awareness, so that people become more aware. So when we look at the POCSO Act, a lot of it has to do with when the incident has already happened and what are the provisions to make sure that the child gets justice if he or she becomes a victim under the POCSO. But it also talks about prevention. One of the good parts about the POCSO is that it talks about how the civil society can also play a big role in preventing these incidences from happening. So the media can talk about or write more articles about how child sexual abuse has become so much more common than we had thought. When we look at, all of us were listening to the Epstein files, a couple of months ago till the Iran war took over, and now there's nothing on Epstein files. But we know that child sexual abuse is something that has been happening, and it is something that happens everywhere. It's not just India, but in the entire world there is a big problem where children are being misused and exploited. And I think that one of the main things that you in the media and we sitting here as advocates, as people from the police department, and as me as part of the commission, our role is to actually ensure that the prevention takes place. I mean, I think if a perpetrator knows that if you are convicted under POCSO, there could also be a death penalty. I'm sure that many people would, many offenders would probably not commit that crime, because right now they don't understand the magnitude of what an offense under POCSO could do. So we generate more information telling the world at large that if you were to become a perpetrator under POCSO, you could actually have a death penalty. And that is something that is a very, very strong punishment under the POCSO, which was meant to create a deterrent. But right now, I feel that more and more cases are being reported. I don't know if incidences have increased, but reporting definitely has increased. And we see that there are a lot of cases under POCSO, since it has come about. Very prevalent nowadays under POCSO is what we call the Romeo and Juliet cases. So cases that shouldn't really be considered POCSO cases, but it involves adolescents who are consensually in a relationship, also comes under POCSO. And that is again, sometimes being reported by media houses and stuff like that. So I think that when we report, we have to pick and we have to see the reason why we're reporting. We are not reporting to spoil the reputation of the survivors, but we are reporting to make sure that justice is delivered and it acts as a deterrent, so that in the future the public knows that if you were to be an offender under POCSO, very, very serious conviction could take place, and you could even get death penalty.
See, when it comes to investigation, we know that the person who is aware of any kind of a relationship, be it anything that will come under the definition of an offense under POCSO, they have to report it. When it comes to medical institutions, the doctors have to report it. One-stop centers, if it comes to the police also, it has to go to the database. Okay. Now we are talking about Romeo and Juliet cases. Right now, with our very own High Court of Meghalaya, ever since our new Honorable Chief Justice has come, she's taken a view, and this has been reflected in many cases whereby POCSO cases have been caught on with regard to these young couples. Some couples, the girl might be a minor, the boy might be a major, and in some cases both are minors. Now, what is important is that the law is there, black and white, but the lifestyle of every society differs. And when it comes to our society, especially because we have a mix of rural-urban way of living in Meghalaya, we see that girls as young as 14, 15 tend to cohabit or maybe get engaged in sexual relations with the opposite sex. So when this is reported and comes to the data that this is a POCSO offense, so what is done is usually for want of a word, because it's a court proceeding case, it's the male is called the accused person. So he will approach the High Court for what's called quashing of proceedings. Now, if they come for quashing of proceedings, we have noticed in our very own High Court that if they are still staying together, because more often than not they will get bail one time or the other, right? It's not like until the entire case is completed with evidence and exhibits that the person will be let go of. Especially cases where there is consent from both parties, although the word consent does not really matter to minors, but if they're living together, they have a child, and they're creating a home together, we have noticed that our Honorable High Court has now quashed such proceedings because they should be given a fresh start in life. And it's not just our own High Court. We will go to other High Courts also, including our, in the metros and other states. They have taken this step because why? If a person is going to be convicted, which he will be, because consent does not matter for somebody under the age of 18. If there's conviction, the family is already broken apart, and single mothers is always on the rise, especially in our state of Meghalaya. So to prevent such mishappenings, there is a quashing of proceedings. But mind you, it's not strictly. Our Honorable High Court goes on a case-per-case basis. They look at the facts and circumstances involved. They actually ask even the survivor, she's still termed as a survivor until the case closes, whether she wishes to pursue her studies, whether she wishes to go for a vocational course, and there are government schemes which the court will then, because we have State Legal Services Authority and District Legal Services Authority, to help the survivors hand in hand, to help them to help them achieve an independent life. Independent life in the sense like financially independent, but at the same time making sure that such relationships do not create further cracks in the life of the survivor.
Seeing that the news is when they go on the streets and then people stare at them and they anyway living that trauma, right? It's not something that everybody can handle, right? Maybe you and me as adults can be strong about it and we can say, okay, let's let the world know because it wasn't my fault. It was the perpetrator's fault. It was the accused person who should be ashamed of himself or herself. But the fact is, here we are talking about children who are already dealing with such a big trauma. So I don't think we are really ready for what you're saying. You know, personally, I feel that trauma is something that takes a lifetime to heal, and you know, it's like something that is taken away from a child, and the child will probably grow up as a normal, regular human being, and suddenly something will trigger, and it will, you know, rekindle all the trauma back. So it's way more complicated. I feel it's something that is a psychological. Psychological issue that children and victims face. So personally I feel it's something that we still need to protect the identity of the victims, because they need to find a safe space where they can heal. Whether the victim can be identified because the perpetrator has been identified, because of course the National Crime Report Bureau has said that 96.6% of perpetrators are generally relatives, family, somebody who is an acquaintance known to the child. So sometimes, like you said, I mean, most of the times the child will know the perpetrator, and maybe people connect the dots and figure it out. But that would still be a speculation. But when you put it in pen and paper and you write it as a news, it becomes a fact. And it's something that will stay forever. So I personally feel that perpetrator, yes, you can, and you can, once the person has been convicted, his name can be out, but it doesn't necessarily connect the dots to the victim or to the survivor.
That information is given to you by the police. So at the end of the day, you're safe.
They are publishing whenever there is any conviction. Actually, POXO cases or any cases, we are giving press release, and perhaps these are published in the print media. So when you are giving this thing in the print media, perhaps it message goes to the society that there is conviction, there is punishment. So perhaps POXO cases, like we hope that will go down. But presently it is not the case. To give you a figure, last month only in East Karcel district we have registered 24 cases, POXO cases. Okay. Anyway, thank you very much for giving this publishing and all. Whenever any cases ended up in conviction, perhaps I feel like even acquittal case should be like published. If a person is acquitted in POXO cases, this also should be published in the media.
Case, then you can mention it. Then it's, only if it's a POXO case, you can't give the name, right? Other than that, that's up to you. If it's a murder case, you can mention it. If it's any other case, if it's not sexual, then I think you can. We started this, this workshop or celebrating this day on a very good note, because this is how we are going to disseminate information, by sort of discussing it, talking about it. Most of the times, issues like POXO, are not discussed. The act is not discussed, and eventually, when we're looking at this whole situation, we have to come together as a team to ensure that children are safer in our state. And for that, we need responsible journalism, we need responsible police, we need a responsible judiciary, we need a commission that is also active. And at the end of the day, the whole point is that we work in collaboration. This is not us competing against each other, but we're working in collaboration to ensure that children are safer in our state. And when we're talking about press freedom, I think freedom does come with certain amount of responsibilities and sensitivity as well. So all I can say is that since you are so dedicated to this profession, I think it's very, very important that it's not just about writing true stories, but also putting it in a very sensitive manner, in a manner that is respectful to the people who are involved in these cases. And it's not always just about putting the news out there. We need to be sensitive, and that applies to all of us. I'm not just talking about the media, I'm talking about even our commission, I'm talking about the police. Like for instance, in the police stations, it is mandatory now to have a child-friendly corner, but many police stations in Meghalaya don't have that. So, the sensitivity has to be at every level. And at the end of the day, if you're a journalist, I think it's important that you also do the homework before you report something. So you know that whatever you're reporting is not just something that will get you in trouble, but it is eventually to ensure that correct information is put out there.
Particularly with regard to protection of the survivor's identity. As journalists, you're all aware that the High Court has live streaming when it comes to ongoing cases. I also have to inform you that when POXO cases are taken up, the live streaming goes off. This is to the extent we go to prevent, to protect, and the identification of the survivors. So with this note, this ending note, I would say it is a team effort for all of us, because nobody will know what the child has gone through unless they wear her shoes. Only she will know what she's gone through. So it's our duty to work together as a team, commission, prosecution, the police, and especially the press, because what you write, what you say in the media is often taken as the truth. So that's where we all have to be, careful about. Thank you.
Well, I would like to say that media people actually they are the eyes and ears of the society. So every morning when I woke up, I used to go through the Ceylon Times. I used to go through the Ceylon Times, what is the news, local news of the area. So my contention is that whatever media people publish in the print media or in the social media, perhaps a sort of message should go to the public, and a positive message, not a negative message. If every day you publish that one murder case has happened in so and so area, this thing, that thing, so perhaps a negative message is going. That is a sort of negative message. But if you publish some news that yes, one fellow is convicted in POCSO cases or murder cases or any heinous crime, so that is a positive message which is going to the society, and you media people are playing a very vital role for development of the society. Every person from a layman to a top brass, they purely rely on the media news. Do you agree with me? Even this election news, everybody is relying, but nobody knows what is inside. So perhaps my humble suggestion is that whatever you publish, you should keep in mind that a message, what message you are going to give to the society.
Mornings are always busy. Everything feels fast. I hear mom shouting and I'm trying not to be late. Outside, Shillong is already awake. Cars move slowly, horns are loud. It feels like everyone is in a hurry. Then the STEMS bus comes in, bright and yellow, always on time. The caretaker waves and I feel okay. Inside, we laugh and sing. We share snacks, we help each other with homework. It feels nice. My parents know I'm safe through the STEMS app on mom's phone. Because this bus isn't just a ride. It takes us to school with friends and a little bit of hope. This is STEMS, our ride, our future.